Guys, this is Michelle with Fun in Key West and Out of Here Travel, and we are live in our Island State of Mind Facebook group. And thank you so much for all of you who are joining us and are entering into the broadcast. So today with us we have Kim Stamps. So give us a little background on who you are and where are you today?
Wow, it's always changing with me.
I'm asking.
Well, so I'm in Key West. I've been here since January of 2008, and I actually came here on vacation. I was on a sailboat. I came down from Pensacola, and I was just going to be here for a couple months, and I'm still here. It's been 12 and a half years.
12 and a half years, and you're still there.
Yes.
So that's amazing.
Yeah, it's a great place. It's like the longer you're here, the more you love it, and the more you want to stay. And I think it's the same when people come to visit here. The more often you come and visit, the more you want to be here, the more fun it is.
And and I think that's the thing is people come in and they have one expectation of, and that's kind of how we started Fun in Key West, was this expectation that it's this small island and that we can see everything in a couple of days, and that's really not true. But you've taken the aspect of exploring Key West on a whole different, journey, and taking people out of Key West, going up the Keys. So tell us about the Keys.
So I drove a taxi for a while, and mostly what we did is we took people from their hotels to the airport. And we did airport returns. Is mostly what the company I worked for, that's what we did. And so it's more like an airport shuttle, right? Well, so a lot of people go to the airport to rent a car here. And so people would go and rent a car for the day. And I'd be like, oh, where are you going to go? And they're like, oh, we don't know. We're just going to go up the Keys for the day. And I'd be like, oh, you should go do this and that and go find the key deer and go to the dolphins. And I'm basically giving them a tour of the Keys in the taxi while I'm driving them to pick up a rental car. And I'm like, this is crazy. I should be giving them a tour. I'm a tour director. I was certified out in San Francisco in 2005. And I worked as a tour leader, an adventure tour leader all over the country for 2 years before I came here. And so I started up the Keys. And there you go. It's, we've had our trials and tribulations.
Absolutely. So for people who are starting to join us, let us know you're here. Linda, I see that you're here, but everybody else, let us know when you're here. So Irma comes along, and I know, and there was so much that was going on with Irma that, through Irma, though, you created a new type of tour, which is a volunteer.
I did, yeah. So Irma came in September. I had completed my very first Up the Keys tour in August of the previous year. So it was 1 year and 1 month into my brand new business that I started from scratch, and we had a major hurricane hit the Lower Keys. Right. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? This is like an impossible feat. And so I actually had I went up to Big Pine Key and like cried at what I saw. And I was like, we have to get this cleaned up. Like, this needs to be cleaned up, like fast. And so I decided the quicker that we clean up Big Pine Key, the quicker I can get back to work and doing tours. And so I filled up the van. I invited people from Key West to come up to Big Pine and help me do cleanups. I connected with the one of the churches up there on Big Pine. They were letting people come in and leave like a work order. And they're like, we have a tree on our house that needs to be removed, or, we have debris in our front yard that needs to be picked up. And so I would get my friends together. I always tried to bring a guy with a chainsaw, and we'd go and help people clean up their yards. And then I got this call. This was sometime in October. I got this call from a couple who were down here with their kids, and their boys are, they're going on like church retreats and doing different things, community service things with their church. And she's like, can we come with you? We saw what you're doing on Facebook. Can we come with you? And I was like, yeah, maybe you could just like buy me some gas. And they're like, sure. And so we go and we spent all day. I had some of my friends from Key West go along too. And And they wound up buying me an entire tank of gas, which I hadn't intended on doing, but it happened, you know.
Right.
And now we're really good friends. They're actually here in town right now, Katie and Bob. And it started this whole new way of tourism here in the Keys that hadn't existed before, called voluntourism. And I've heard of it in other countries. People go to third world countries to go like help schools out or water supplies, or, you know, they spend time of their vacation giving back. And then so I started a way for people to do that here in the Keys.
That's awesome.
And, yeah, so I started
We did
volunteering.
a follow-up with Katie and Bob and took them back to the house that we helped.
Yeah.
That was Bee's house, and it was a disaster when we were
It was
there.
a disaster. They're the equivalent of maybe like 4 blocks from the water. And I mean, it was a disaster. Looking back at the pictures of what we walked into that first day, because I think I wound up going there like 3 times.
Right.
And it was so bad. And now, less than 3 years later, it's this beautiful tropical jungle. Like it looks like you're in like Thailand or Bali or something, you know, and there's fruit everywhere. It's amazing.
But it's a great way to explore the Keys outside of Key West, because Key West is its own little tourist draw. I mean, you've got the ball, you've got, you know, the historic sites, you have the museums, but then you go on up the Keys and you have the Dolphin Research Center, which you know, take people to, and you get to see the key deer, because a lot of people don't drive down the Keys, they fly in. And so they miss the beauty of the Keys.
It's true. And even people that drive down, though, can't necessarily see it the way you can see it when someone else is doing the driving and when somebody's telling you what you're seeing, you know? And so that's what I do. Yep. And a lot of people don't drive down. This is their only opportunity to go see it. But then also people that do drive down, I take people every year that have been coming here for 40 years, and they go on my tour every year because they enjoy me driving and telling them what I'm seeing and catching up, you know?
Right.
So I think it's just different when you go with a guide than when you go on your own.
Exactly. And Linda says to thank you for doing what you do, and that we're starting on cleanup.
You're welcome. And, you know, we still do it too. We still offer volunteers. It's part of the business now. And so we connected with a nonprofit that formed also after Irma. It was formed by a guy named Brian Vest, who had this porta potty across the canal from his house. So like whenever he walked outside his house, he would see this yellow porta potty up in the mangroves. And so he put a call out to people, and like 50 people showed up to help him, and they wound up cleaning up the mangroves right there. And then he did another one, and 150 people showed up. Wow. And I was there supporting him from the beginning. He wound up starting the Concord Public Marine Army, which is a nonprofit. So we partner with Concord Public Marine Army to do our volunteers. So he partnered also with Big Pine Kayak Adventures. He supplies the kayaks. So what I do is I basically supply the transportation and tour, and we go up and we get in kayaks and we go clean up. There's still debris out there. Now it's a lot of marine trash, more so than hurricane debris, but it's marine trash. It still needs to be cleaned up, you know? So we get corporate groups that do that. And sometimes just, you know, a family that wants to go and do something good while they're here. So yeah.
It's a different way to experience a destination. And I highly encourage, you know, as we start pulling together and talking about other locations, that if this is an interest for you, to, you know, let us know. You know, we can see where we can find other volunteers at.
Yeah. And, you know, I've also got other companies here in Key West that do it as well, and like Geiger Key. So there's other places. If you're limited on time or whatever, you know, if my schedule doesn't allow it, I can at least give you direction. You can do it with somebody else. So
that's amazing. So you've also now added something a little different. So now for people who want to stay just in Key West, now.
So since we had the shutdown for a couple months down here in the Keys, it's not that I didn't have anything to do. It's that I had time to like brainstorm and figure out what else can I do with this company to make it better, and what are people going to want under the new normal, you know? And I think what a lot of people would want, what I would want if I was traveling, is a private tour. Like I would want to go just me and the guide, or, you know, me or whoever I'm traveling with and the guide. And the cool thing with private tours is then you ask questions and it's a conversation rather than just a tour guide, you know, giving you tour commentary. You have time with that person. And I think that's more valuable. And I really think after all of this, people being isolated from other people, I think that's going to be even more important now than ever, is to kind of find that bond, that strong bond, rather than just a quick tour and you're done, So I not only changed our driving tours to all private. So when you book a tour with Up the Keys, it's going to be a private tour. I'm not going to group you with anybody else. I also started Key West walking tours. So I've been thinking about this for like a year now, about doing some walking tours. I live right in Old Town Key West. I know it like the back of my hand. I was a pedicab driver for a long time, and I learned all the streets and all the little alleys, and I went to the library, and I've read tons of books about Key West. And so I have all this information in my head. And so I can do history and architecture tours. I can tell you about the flowering trees that you see. Maybe not all of them, but a lot of them, the ones that are like really noticeable. I can take you on a ghost tour. I did ghost tours for a year. I did pub crawls for a year. I know where the best happy hours are. I'm like, I should be taking people with me to do these things, you know? So I put together walking tours of Key West. Private walking tours. So again, I'm not going to group you with people. It'll just be us. So it's like walking around with a local is what it is. It's walking in Key West with a local. It's not a, it's not a hard and fast tour where we can't veer off and, like I see a chicken down there, I'm kind of one of those people like, oh, let's go check this out, And so I'm excited. I've done a couple of them already, and I'm loving it. They're loving it. And it's a different kind of tour. It's relaxed, casual, fun, and it's Key Westy.
So you're talking, so you've shifted everything to private tours, so that allows people to be a little more comfortable. You get that social distancing in. What can they expect when they come into Key West, or in Florida, Monroe County, any of these areas? Because I think
Florida's getting a lot of bad press right now as a whole in terms of numbers of COVID cases. Ours is increasing slowly, but it is increasing, which is to be expected. When you bring in a whole bunch of people from other places and they're all hanging out together, chances are some people are going to get infected. Now, what's happening down here, Monroe County just changed their rules again yesterday. So 2 weeks ago, they had made masks not mandatory, but optional. And of course, most people are not wearing masks if they don't have to. And so Monroe County changed the rules yesterday, and they're now requiring masks inside any business or under a roof. So even if you're in like an open air I guess a restaurant's not a good example, but if you're in an open air place with just a roof, like a tiki, right? That's under a roof. If you're not actively eating or drinking, you're supposed to have your mask on.
Okay.
Same in Key West. Now, Key West has kept it that way. What I'm seeing a lot of in Key West is people not wanting to wear their mask inside, which, we welcome you here. Please come and see us, but please follow our rules, because these rules are in place to protect everybody. They're also here to protect us. Like, if you think about it, if all the Key Westers get sick with COVID, there's no space at the hospital. The hospital's tiny.
Right.
And B, we have to be at work. Like, if we're not working, there's nobody to serve your food. There's nobody to serve your drinks. There's nobody to drive you from point A to point B. Like, we can't all get sick. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what it really comes down to. So you'll notice when you come down here that everybody that's working is wearing their mask.
Okay.
And I made these buffs. Michelle's got one.
I was going to say, you're going to talk about the buffs?
Yeah. Can we go ahead and talk about the buffs?
Yes, please.
So I got these buffs done, and it's got the Up the Keys logo and Florida Keys on there, so it's a great souvenir. Look, I've got stains on mine. Most of them come out. I don't know what that is, but it's a really comfortable, like silky material. It's the same material as our like UPF shirts.
Right.
And so what I do is, like, before I leave the house, I put it on around my neck and I leave the house, And so when I need it, it's like really easy. You just pull it up, and you can pull it up like this, just one. I found that it sometimes it'll slide off if you have it on for a while, if you don't get it just right, it'll kind of slide off over time. but you can always bunch it up just a little bit and sort of pick it up in the back, and that'll stay on for like hours, and you don't even realize it's on. So, and I get tons of compliments. See the alligator?
I like it. And the deer.
There's an alligator, there's a deer, there's a stingray. So I get tons of compliments on it. It's comfortable, and a lot of times I forget it's even on.
Yeah.
You know, so
it provides the protection or the covering that you need. And you are selling these, correct?
I am. Yeah, they're $25. That includes shipping. If you wait until you get to Key West, that's fine. I can deliver them to wherever you are for $20.
Okay.
So yeah, it's basically the local price. So it's, the thing is like some people are trying to use the excuse when they go into places, oh, I don't have my mask with me. And that's not acceptable.
Right.
It's not. So I find it easy to just have this around my neck, and then I don't have to remember anything. I just automatically have it,
Right.
So if you want to buy one, hit me up. You can go to my website.
Yep. Go to
FunInKeyWest.com. I put it right up there front and center for you, so it's easy to find. But I'm happy to ship them. I've got another shipment. I think they're sitting in my mailbox right now.
Awesome.
So when I get finished here, I'll head over to the post office and go pick them up and start shipping them out. So, but I highly recommend these. I see a lot of people with the mask around, with their ears holding them, and I just couldn't imagine that that's comfortable.
No. And a lot of people have gone to this style just because of the ease and use of it. So that's made it very nice.
Yeah, and it's comfortable. So that's what I do. And so what you're going to find in Key West, unfortunately, is on Duval Street, is a lot of people, especially on the weekends, not so much on the weekdays right now, but on the weekends, there's a lot of people and they're not wearing masks.
Right.
And so like when I ride my bike down Duval Street and I see and I'm in like those crowded areas, I'll pull this up real quick. And keep riding my bike. I can breathe just fine. And I feel like I'm a little bit more protected, just in case, because you don't know who's sick. You don't know who's not. And so I know they say this won't protect you, but it's got to be better than nothing, Yeah.
We have a storm going on here, and I have a cat who is freaked out over.
I can hear the cat.
So you can hear the cat. So I'm trying to make sure that she's not too annoying, but she's okay. So you've traveled a lot of places.
I have, yeah.
And I think
I've been to exotic places.
You to do two things. First, you started a travel radio show.
Yes.
And if you don't have any other spare time, you've actually now become a travel advisor. So,
I know, right?
So where all have you traveled?
So I've been to some I guess kind of exotic places. The first time I left the country was right after I finished college, and I went to Jamaica to an all-inclusive resort in Montego Bay.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the cheapest vacation I could find, you know? And so I went there with my best friend, and we had a blast. I'll never forget it. And that was my actually first and only all-inclusive experience, but I loved it. I was like, oh yeah, all-inclusive is the way to go. And I think in certain places it is.
Mm-hmm.
We went there, and then little Jen and I wound up also going to, I think it was the next year, we went to Nicaragua. Ooh. And we did a 10-day road trip in Nicaragua. We rented a 4-wheel drive, and it was 3 of us girls. We stayed in hostels, and it was before Airbnb, but it was kind of like Airbnb.
Right.
Because some of the hostels were actually houses, and we used the Lonely Planet guide,
Right.
So we did that. And then I spent quite a bit of time on the road in the United States as an adventure tour leader. I did that my first year, and my second year, I went up to Canada. So I spent the better part of a summer, or the better part of a 6-month summer in Canada, mostly in the Canadian Rockies. And then where else have I gone? I did a bicycle journey in the Netherlands. That was like 2 years ago.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so we got electric assist bikes and rode from Amsterdam and made a big circle and went all around the country. We spent 12 days on bikes, so that was awesome. Yeah, and then this past summer I went to Nepal and Tibet.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was very exciting.
That was like mind-blowing, amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So I've done quite a bit of travel, but it's kind of like, it's like here and there, you know what I mean? And like, I've only been to Europe once, but it was an awesome bicycle trip in the Netherlands. So I did the Netherlands right, you know?
Yeah.
And I think you and I were talking about this the other day, like Amsterdam gets a bad rap sometimes from Americans. And I think they have this view of Amsterdam that maybe it's not that great because, you know, drugs are legal there.
Right.
And I thought the city was great. I felt like we didn't have enough time there because we were there for one night, we left. And when we came back, we were there for one night and then we left. So we only had 2 nights in Amsterdam and we had a blast. Like there's more bikes than cars.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
awesome.
we're talking about this, and you know, it's like, you know, going to International House Hunters, and you know, you see that that view of what they want you to see, because you know that's the TV show that they're doing. But it's an amazing place to see, and I'd like to see it in person. So
I loved it. Yeah, I loved it. I would send anybody there, and if any of your people if they're bicyclists, I can put together a bicycle journey for them, like that rocks. We had an amazing time.
Yeah. So it brings, because you like to travel and you've been these places.
Hang on, I got a plane going over. I can't really hear you. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So you've been all over you know, you've traveled these places, you like to travel. You've now moved into kind of a parallel path. You've started a travel show, a weekly radio travel show. And on the show, you talk about these great trips that you're pulling together. So what came first? The travel show, pulling together the trips? What happened? What came first?
Right? So I did a lot of brainstorming in like the first 2 months of lockdown. I was having a good time. Don't get me wrong. I was going sailing and going boating and having a great time. But I was also brainstorming like how can I insulate myself a little bit, you know? And I was thinking of all these different things I could do. You know, I have a finance degree. I'm like, oh, I could go into finance. I could go be a bookkeeper. I could be an accountant. And I'm like looking at all these ideas and I'm like, you know what? No, because the industry that I want to be in is travel. Like that's my industry. That's what I love. And that's where I need to stay. But what I need to do is diversify within that industry, you know? And so one thing that I really enjoy is logistics, and I enjoy research, and I feel comfortable learning about new places. And it's like once I learn a certain amount of a place,
right,
I feel like I've been there, you know, like I did the one to Belize, to that little island in Belize in Cape Cocker. Right. And like, I was like, I want to go there. Like, I totally want to go. I already know where I want to stay. I know how I'm going to get there. I know how much it's going to cost me. I know what I'm going to do while I'm there. And it, you know, a few hours of research and thinking about it, you know. And so I'm enjoying doing that. Like they're kind of random, my trips of the week. So I think I've done 4 shows so far. So we did, the first one was kind of for the Key Westers. It was June 1st, right when the Keys opened back up to visitors. And so I did one for the or right before that, did one for the Key Westers to the Everglades in South Florida. Which there's loads to do there, tons to do. And you don't even have to go to Miami to do it. Like it's outside of Miami, you know? I did one to Cuba because I have a friend that has a tour company down there where he can bring Americans down. And I have another place here in Key West where I can hook them up with, you know, these people too. We can hook you up with the flight down from Key West. And my other friend that has the tour company down there, he can hook you up with flights from Miami. So to Cuba, to Belize, and then what was last week? Oh, the Appalachian Mountains.
Oh yeah, the Appalachian Mountains.
Yeah, that one was fun because I've been there. I took tour groups there years ago when I was with Trek America, doing the over the road tours. And so it was like memories just flooding back, you know, going through the Appalachian Mountains. So I don't know what I'm going to do this week, but it's a live radio show.
And
so it's on Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern, every Monday, 7 p.m. And it's on, so if you're in Key West, it's 104.9, the X. If you're not in Key West, you can stream it on your computer or on your phone live at the letter X, KeyWest.com. Okay. And it's really easy. You download the app, you open the app, and it plays your live music. Like it's so easy. And then you're listening to a Key West radio station. So even if you finish listening to my show, you want to keep listening. Like a lot of times when I'm sitting here working from home on the computer, I'll have the X on and, just listen to the DJs and the music, and it's Key West station. It's a community radio station. So it's not a big budget, that's for sure.
It gives a little bit of insight into the personalities that make up Key West, for sure.
Yeah. Yes.
And I think that's an amazing part of it. So you're doing a weekly trip, and it's just based on what people are asking you for, or kind of what interested you that week?
Yeah, I had it pretty much. Yeah, it's like if something comes up, or if like a song comes on, because what I do on the show is I try to tie it all together with music.
Right.
So I might hear a song that reminds me of a place, and I'll be like, oh, I'll do the trip of the week for there, or I try to tie it to my guest, because I bring in a local business owner or somebody to represent a local business here, and I interview them. And so I try to tie it in, but it's sort of tricky. So the trip of the week's kind of random. You never know what you're going to get. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see over time when people go to my webpage and they see all these trips. And what I want it to do is like inspire them to take a trip somewhere. It doesn't have to be one that I already laid out, or it could be. You might read it and be like, oh my gosh, I want to do that.
Exactly.
So that's kind of my goal with it. And the cool thing is working with you as a travel agent, I can book it for people. So
exactly. And I think that's what's really cool is, so yeah, Kim has now joined Out of Here Travel as an independent travel agent. And so we're excited to have her on board. And what's really exciting is she brings this new perspective because, the trips you've been on and the trips that are interesting to you have probably more of an active component to it, biking, hiking, things like that. Whereas some of our clientele, wants to go to that all-inclusive and sit on the beach and never leave. So it's kind of a
more adventurous, I think.
Yeah.
That's how I like to travel. I like to be adventurous. So.
Yeah. And so upthekeys.com/tours will get you to her tour page. So I think that's really cool. Throughout the shutdown, though, you weren't all quiet. You did do some virtual tours where you showed people things that were, the Dolphin Research Center. We went all over the 7 Mile Bridge. We saw deer. Are you going to continue to do anything like that?
I am. Yeah. The virtual tours was interesting because I saw some chatter. I have all these emails that come in, and I have different industry people that I know. And so I'm getting all this info in about virtual tours. And I'm like, you're telling me people are going to go on virtual tours? Well, yeah, because I got nothing else to do, right? Everybody's stuck at home. And so I watched a few, and I was like, well, I think I can do a little better than that. And so I wound up, because we were under stay-at-home orders, and people told me, oh, well, Kim, you can go drive around and do a real virtual tour. I'm like, no, you know what? I'm not supposed to be doing that. Like, I'm supposed to be staying at home. So I stayed at home, and I made some really cool slideshows with pictures and video from my tours. And we did a Dolphin Research Center and 7 Mile Bridge one. I actually did that one twice. We did the half-day tour. We go find the key deer and go to Bahia Honda State Park and learn about the islands on the way and the Blue Hole. And then I started, then the stay-at-home orders were let go. So I did a bike ride on Big Pine where we went and found the key deer. And people really enjoyed that. I get it. Like, apparently it felt like you were right there.
Right.
I've done a couple bike rides through Key West. Those I've been doing on Facebook Live. The other ones I did on Zoom. And so I'm planning on doing both because a lot of people are not on Facebook.
Right.
And so with Zoom, I'll schedule them and you can log in, and then people can also interact, a little bit. It's hard for me to do the tour, be on a bike, and interact at the same time. So I find that a little bit challenging, especially on my phone. If I'm sitting here in my office, on the computer, that's different. I can interact with people a little more. But when I'm actually out there on a bike doing a tour with using my phone, it's a little more challenging. So I can't always interact with people on those, but I try.
You handle the phone and the live far better than I would on a bike. I'm not the most talented on the bike. Me and a bike and a trash can had an issue.
Yeah. Oh no.
Yeah.
I've spent a lot of time on bicycles. I used to do a charity bike ride from Miami to Key West. That's 165 miles. I did that 4 times, plus all the training, you know. And I used to drive the pedicab, so that's kind of like a bike, but more like a trike.
Right.
And so, yeah, I mean, I've spent a lot of time on bicycles, so maybe that's why.
You're more comfortable at it than I am. I just did not negotiate that turn around the garbage can very well.
But that's another thing, Michelle, that I don't know if you know, that I acquired some bicycles during the quarantine days, so that I can take people on bike rides in the Keys. Yeah, so I know some cool trails if people are into trail riding, or instead of driving around looking for key deer, we can bring bikes with us and hop out of the van and get on bikes and go look for them.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. So I have
different than the standard bike tour that you're going to see. It's customized. It's private. It's you're going out. Yeah, I like that.
And it would be part of the driving tour. Basically, we just get out and go for a bike ride, and then we load the bikes back on, get back in the van, come back to Key West. Yeah, so it's low impact, and it can be customized. We can go a little further, we can go not so far. This time of year, you're gonna have to get up early in the morning and do it, or go in the evening because it's hot in the middle of the day. 90 something, pretty soon. So
absolutely. So other than that, I think Key West is obviously one of the places that our people in this group love and they talk about. Other places that just give that island state of mind is other places, that they dream of. We see pictures from Barbados and Haiti and Jamaica and all of that. And so what's really cool is being able to talk about these places with somebody who's actually there and doing the tours. And, so I appreciate you coming on and talking to us about what you're doing.
Thanks for having me.
And, what's really neat is you're not just Key West anymore. You are Key West centric, but you're branching out, you're doing other things. So, we have your contact information here. And what's really cool about this video is we're going to put it out on our YouTube channel and it'll go out on FunInKeyWest.com. And so we're going to have the contact information for Up the Keys tours, Up the Keys travel. So we'll have that in there, and also the ability to buy the buff. The buff. I think
the coolest stuff in town, man.
And it's available for sale, so I think that's amazing. And I think everybody needs to download the X app, have that on their phone, because it is
the Key West
station that you will ever have.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Like, there's some pretty wacky personalities on there, but they play great music. Music for everybody. Absolutely. And yeah, X Key West. It's FunInKeyWest.com. You can have Key West in your house or in your car all the time.
Yeah, and so I think that's amazing, and being able to now take people on the the trip of the week, and it's not in the Keys; it's somewhere else, and
it's somewhere else. Yes,
and that's really cool. And we're going to be also kind of venturing off into this group because we've had people ask, is this only about Key West? And it's like, nope, we're doing all kinds of things. So we're going to be doing virtual tours of places. And so everybody can stay tuned for that. So I'm probably going to be reaching out to you for some advice on where we should go. But other than that, we didn't have any questions, but Linda again said thank you for everything that you are doing.
Thanks for watching, Linda.
Yeah. So anything else? Any last thoughts, parting thoughts that you want people to have?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm guessing that some of the people that you interact with are probably on some of these Facebook groups as well for like Key West, and there's some people are being kind of nasty on those groups, and it concerns me because sometimes it's coming from visitors and sometimes it's coming from locals. And I think that for the most part, we locals are happy to have you as long as you are happy to follow our rules. It's not that big of a deal to put a mask on. It's really not. And you should know the rules when you get here. That's just something you should be doing when you're traveling anyway, is know the local customs, right? It's kind of like a local custom at this point. And our local custom is wear your mask if you're within 6 feet of somebody or if you're inside a building. And if you just do that, we're going to appreciate you more. Because what I'm hearing from bartenders and servers and business owners and people that work inside businesses, they're having to all day long ask people to put their masks on. And can you imagine how like challenging that would be at the end of the day? You're like, oh my gosh, I'd ask 5,000 people to put their stupid mask on. We shouldn't have to do that. There's signage everywhere, and you should know your local customs. And each place is going to be different. Wisconsin, you don't have to wear a mask up there. Here, wear your mask. You know, bring your buff. Just throw it on before you leave your hotel room. And so I think I don't want people to get the feeling that we don't want people here, because we do. We not only want you here, we need you here.
Right.
But just, you know, be courteous and understand where we're coming from. You know, if you come down here and contract the virus, you go home to wherever you are. Maybe you get sick, maybe you don't. I hope not. I hope nobody contracts it down here, but it's possible, right? If you come down here and you get us sick, we're here. Like, this is where we live. We have a little tiny hospital. Right. You know, somebody had, I think it was Danielle, made a little thing for the hotel that said like, tiny island, tiny hospital, you know, like, please understand.
Right.
You know, and so I don't want people to feel like because there's one nasty person on a Facebook group that it means all of us feel that way. Because I don't think we do. You know, we just want to be respectful of the fact that we live here.
Right.
You know?
And you know, and like you said, this, you know, when we first started, Monroe County just changed the rules, and I think it's ever changing. It's a fluid situation.
Yeah.
There are a lot of places that we are doing trips for people that masks are required. If you go into Orlando, you're going to be wearing a mask. The Disney's, Universal, any of that, you're going to be wearing a mask. There are several states, like you mentioned, that don't mandate it, but a lot of people, you know, a lot of states do mandate it. So, you know what, I always tell people, just don't, if you have a relaxed policy at home, just assume wherever you're going is going to be the strictest policy, and then we'll back it down from there, because we just don't know.
Yeah, and whether you believe in it or not, it doesn't really matter. Like, you just follow the rules, you know. I don't know. I guess it's kind of like, you know, no smoking. You know, they say no smoking in the bar. You don't smoke in the bar, right? They say wear a mask in the shop. You wear a mask in the shop. It's just the way it is right now, you know?
Absolutely. But, you know, it's the nice thing is the keys are open. That, you know, and we're starting to see other locations, international, starting to open up. The Caribbean starting to open up. So, you know, I always say Key West is the gateway to the Caribbean, because it's one of those places that is it's the southernmost point in the continental United States. I'd like to clarify that. But it's also one of those places where you go and you're still in you know, in the U.S., you don't need a passport, you can get in. But I think it also stimulates people to go, okay, this is what I think the rest of the Caribbean would look like, should look like, probably looks like.
Yeah.
So it's the gateway to other adventures.
It is. It is. Yeah. I haven't been to the Caribbean, but I'm getting rather close. I'm ready.
Yeah. So I think it's one of those things, and they're starting to reopen. And so, you know, we're here to help. And Kim, I can't thank you enough for joining us today. And
thanks.
Yeah. And it's always amazing. It's always fun. And I think everybody truly enjoyed hearing about Up the Keys and what you're doing. And and so anytime you want to come on, let me know.
I appreciate it. Let's do it again soon.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys, for watching. Bye. See you in Key West.